CFCF 12. For Lois and Clark, the new adventures of Superman.
This evening on Pulse, take me out to a ball game, but make sure it's in the next few days. And it came from the sky. A twister descends on Aylmer, Quebec. Good evening. Mitsumi is on vacation, but professional ball players will be back at work and at work for at least a while longer. For a time today, it kind of looked like they were going to walk out immediately. Joining me from the newsroom is Ron Roosh of Pulse Sports. Ron, exactly what did happen today?
Oh, good old labor relations, Bill. I guess it's never the same whether it's the auto workers or construction workers or baseball players. Management trying to get the edge on the players is actually what's happened over the last couple of days. Last month they held the All-Star Game. Basically, the All-Star Game has always been for the benefit of the players and their pension fund. On August 1st, a payment which was to amount to $7.8 million this year was to be made to the Players Association Pension Fund. It was not made, and the owners say they don't have to make this payment because there is no labor agreement. Well, this enraged the players, certainly enraged Donald Fear, who is the players' representative in all of the negotiations, and it wound up with conference calls yesterday, player votes last night, another conference call earlier today, and then a news conference at 2 o'clock this afternoon, at which time the players decided that they were not going to allow the owners to set their own agenda, and therefore they won't go on strike tonight. They're going to wait until the original date, which is August 12th, a week tomorrow.
I guess, Ron, the $64,000 question, is there any way to head this strike off next week?
I don't think so. I think that both sides seem bound and determined that there is going to be a strike. The owners have really dug their heels in the area of a salary cap, which is something that is not new to sports but is new to baseball and something that the players absolutely do not want to accept. And the players, of course, are really upset not only about the salary cap, which they feel is going to be imposed on them in the off-season in any case, but also, of course, this little extra thing that has happened over the last couple of days. So the odds of this thing being settled in a hurry are practically nil. The question is, are we going to be able to make it to the end of this by the end of the season so we can at least have some playoffs?
Thank you very much, Ron. And at the Olympic Stadium late this afternoon, there was, of course, much concern about what happens now. Caroline Van Vlartigen has more on that.
At Expo's head office, anxious fans called all day to find out if the strike was on early. But as soon as they heard it wasn't, they began lining up to get seats for tonight's game.
We're a little scared of the strike, but see, everything is okay. The strike is only going to happen next week.
This is my first time this year, maybe the last also, I don't know.
I wasn't sure, so I took the chance, and we came. So that's great. We're going to see the last game.
The last home game, that is, before the strike, which will begin next Friday, unless an agreement is reached. A letdown not only for fans of this winning franchise, but for hundreds of concession stand owners who say they'll also lose big.
We lose about $25,000, $30,000 each day.
Many of their employees, like Jean-Maxime, are students, and after tonight, their summer jobs will likely be over. Jean-François Desbiens is a freelance sports reporter, and a strike will also put him out of work.
To August the 12th, we don't know how long we're going to be out of it. We're going to be out of a job. I mean, that's the last job for us to do. We're going to have to find something else to do, and that affects a lot of people.
But some fans, like this man, are still optimistic.
You're buying tickets for which game?
For further down, the 14 and the 15. Keep hoping.
Caroline Van Vlartigen, Pulse News.
But what about the view from the clubhouse, from the people most affected, the players? Joining me now, live from the Big O, is Alan Bishop. Alan?
Thanks, Bill. I had a chance to speak with a few of the players earlier. Everything seems to hinge around this lack of a near $8 million payment that the owners haven't made. The initial reaction from the players was mostly fear and anger that they hadn't been paid the money. Their philosophy is that they've played the All-Star game, it's their money, they should have it. The players initially were about 50-50 split on whether to strike before or after tonight's game, but after some talking amongst themselves, they were unanimous that they would hold on to their August 12th strike date. Now, the players basically haven't given up their position, and they're, as Darren Fletcher said, they're pleading with the owners to make that $8 million payment, and basically their justification is that it's their money, since the All-Star game has been played. So as you can see, that the players are quite angry and a little bit confused, but they're holding resolute, and actually if they were unified before, they may be even stronger now. So that's the reaction from the players. I'll have a little more on sports at approximately 6:35 when I speak with John Wetland, the Expos player representative.
Thank you very much, Alan.
All right.
This is Ann Shatilla coming up on Pulse. Details of what happened on the campaign trail today and confirmation of a date for a televised debate. That's coming up.
Well, a severe summer storm hit the Ottawa area late this afternoon, then headed to Montreal. In Aylmer, Quebec, as many as 30 homes were damaged and several people hurt. Aaron McKelvey has more.
People are walking around in a state of shock after the tornado swept through the Pilon area of Aylmer. That's the north end of the city. This is one of the worst areas hit. They've sealed off part of this area now because worries of a natural gas leak. People are gathering at the nearby Aylmer Arena and school to survey the damage. This is one of the worst houses hit. This is on De Bretagne. This fellow is surveying the damage. There is, as you can see, insulation everywhere. Furniture has been tossed around. It's like matchsticks. He really doesn't know quite what to make of it all. Worst thing is his wife is on vacation in Mexico. She's due back any time now. What a surprise waits for her when she gets back. It's miserable. This is not the only house that looks like this. We have word that 6 homes have been destroyed, look much like this. 10 others have had their roofs blown right off, so they've got lots of water damage in them as well. People are climbing onto buses to be taken out of the area to nearby hospitals. We have word that no one has been seriously hurt, but people here say they've seen nothing like this ever before in this region. It is a scene of devastation. People are wandering around, still so shaken.
Aaron, I understand police.
I didn't think it was going to be that bad. I just came from there, and it's like a bomb exploded somewhere. Everything is leveled off. Houses that are toppled, roofs that are in the back of their yards, and pools that are broken. It was devastating. I was shaking. I was so nervous.
In Lancaster, Ontario, meanwhile, heavy lightning and several injuries. In the Laurentians, 11,000 people are without electricity at this hour. Several hydro poles have fallen in Rawdon. And this is the scene here in Montreal at this hour from our live camera at Saint-Denis and de Maisonneuve. As you can see, the worst of the storm is over in downtown Montreal. Don McGowan has been tracking the storm from the weather board. Don?
Well, over for a few hours perhaps, or perhaps only a few minutes, because there are 2 severe cells west of us between Lake Ontario and the Quebec border, and these cells will sweep through. So a bit of a lull downtown now. So we're going to extend the weather warning until 9 o'clock tonight. So between now and then, chance of very heavy showers and thunderstorms, and then showers during the night. But the weekend ahead looks great. Details later. Bill?
Well, at least there's some good news in all of this. In other news, a rash of recent accidents, murders, and suicides have led to a growing feeling the metro isn't safe. Today, the drivers' union agreed. Ralph Noseworthy has more.
Every week, there's a suicide in the metro, or attempt of suicide in the metro.
And the Metro Employees Union says there's more. Daily injuries, 4 accidental deaths within the past year, 2 passengers, 2 employees. The union wants immediate safety measures installed. First, a basket-like device on the front of each train.
When somebody will fall, in the metro, he will catch by the basket,
Last week, a blind woman died when she fell between 2 metro cars. The metro drivers want that gap covered with a rubber curtain. It would be similar to those used on Voyager buses, flexible but solid enough to prevent anyone from accidentally falling between metro cars.
It's very easy to install this, very easy to install it. And it's not expensive too.
The drivers also suggest a 3 or 4 foot wall be built along the orange line, separating the passengers from the train, with either openings or doors to correspond with the doors on the metro cars. Since video cameras are already installed in the metro system, the drivers want monitors in the driver's compartment. It would allow them to watch the crowds entering or leaving the cars, and more mirrors along the metro platforms. But the drivers argue, MUC transit officials say it's all too expensive.
It's the attitude, you know. And we want to
Metro drivers say it's an investment, not an expense, and they are willing to give up funds for job training programs if the money is spent on safety. Ralph Noseworthy, Pulse News.
MUC police have set up a special task force of 12 homicide investigators who will devote all their time to a series of unsolved murders of teenagers in this area. Stéphane Giroux reports.
MUC detectives Jean-Pierre Martin and Jean Estigui are going through some unsolved murder files looking for clues, any clues. Murders that have shocked Montrealers. Claire Sanson and Danielle Laplante, raped and killed in an Outremont store 4 years ago. There was Marie-Claude Côté, who was abducted near a Côte-Saint-Paul bar in 1991. Her body was later found in the St. Lawrence River. There was also the gruesome murder of Chantal Brochu in Outremont 2 years ago. This year, the numbers continue to grow. There was Tara Manning, found dead last May at her parents' home in Dorval. Within a week, the Sûreté du Québec had to investigate 2 more murders, those of Mélanie Cabé and Marie-Chantal Desjardins. All these murders have one thing in common. The murderers were never caught. Evidence found seemed to rule out a serial killer.
Like DNA, like fingerprints or anything else, to know if it is the same killer. But I don't think it's we have a serial killer.
The task force was set up this summer after the Mélanie Cabé murder. Heavy media coverage generated calls with tips about several of them.
We received many information from people, from Infocrim, from Unsolved Mysteries, exactly. And we have to investigate each of them.
For obvious reasons, the investigators won't reveal if they've made any progress. But they say the task force is bringing added motivation. One of the suspect investigators are looking for is this man, who was last seen with Chantal Brochu shortly before her murder in 1992. He's been eluding police ever since. They're asking anyone with information about him or on any of these murders to call the homicide squad at 280-2052 or 280-2777. Stéphane Giroux, Pulse News.
Experts from the Sûreté du Québec and Transport Canada are examining debris tonight from a plane crash north of Quebec City that occurred last night, in which 6 people, including the pilot, were killed. The twin-engine Cessna crashed into a hill shortly after leaving the airport in Saint-Irénée, about 125 kilometers northeast of Quebec City. The 5 passengers worked for the Trois-Rivières company, Transelect. The aircraft was owned by regional airline Les Ailes de Charlevoix. The pilot was described as highly experienced. There's still no indication exactly what caused the crash. Well, after 2 years, it's becoming a noisy summer tradition in Montreal, a return to the old days of hot rods and hot dogs at one of the city's landmark restaurants. George Alexander reports.
They don't exactly rock around the clock, but hundreds of local car enthusiasts are out rolling around the old orange julep on Décarie this summer. For some, it's a chance to remember the drive-in, which opened in the 1930s, and the now vintage cars that made it so popular on summer nights. For the TV generation, a chance to relive those happy days, and for a few, a chance to show off exactly what happens when you place one foot lightly on the brake and the other heavily on the gas.
Last week I had so much trouble with people burning out their tires, burning them out. So now the police are out there watching for everything.
Organizers are planning 4 more of these free car shows every Wednesday night from now until the end of August. They ask that you bring along a food donation and get there before 10 when the clock runs out. George Alexander, Pulse News.
Unsafe at any speed. Will these airbags hurt you or help you? Find out more when we come back.
If the beautifully rounded lines of the all-new Monte Carlo seem somehow familiar, they should. After all, we borrowed them from you. The all-new 1995 Monte Carlo, inspired by and built around you, the driver. It's your own personal space, designed from the inside out for a very personal fit. The all-new 1995 Monte Carlo, genuine Chevrolet.
It's Baby Week at the Bay, where you'll find savings on everything you need for your baby.
You're gonna love this.
Save 25% on real clothes' latest fall fashions. Save $40 on this Storkcraft crib, designed exclusively for the Bay. Save $20 on this Fisher-Price car seat. And save $25 on this Play School adjustable height high chair.
It's quality, it's value, it's guaranteed.
Hey, your better price advantage.
He was the king, and this was the performance of a lifetime. This is the king you'll never forget. Elvis, Aloha from Hawaii, is now finally available on home video. 75 minutes of pure classic Elvis. You'll hear 30 of the king's greatest hits. This is the one legendary performance no fan should be without. This is a home video classic. Order yours now for just $29.95, and you'll also receive 2 Elvis Collector's Edition art prints commemorating this historic concert event. This is an exclusive television offer. To order yours, call 1-800-592-3838 or send $29.95 plus $4.95 shipping to Elvis TV offer. P.O. Box 3351, Station D, Willowdale, Ontario.
Herzing Institute can help change your life. Since 1965, Herzing Institute has provided its students with quality service and training.
It's the best thing I ever did. Thanks to Herzing, I found a great job.
Computer programming, electronics, office automation.
At Herzing Institute, I finally got the training and confidence I needed.
Maybe it's time you changed your life too. Call 935-7494 to find out more. Herzing Institute, 935-7494.
Now, they are supposed to save your life. They may do more harm than good. Joe Singerman reports on a growing controversy over automobile airbags.
A month ago, Virginia Suaya was driving her car down a residential street. She had a minor collision with another vehicle. She wasn't traveling fast, and damage to her 1993 Dodge Colt was minor. But Virginia sustained injuries when the airbag inflated.
I had 4 fractures on my left hand. I had bruises on my chest, a burn quite important on my right cheek.
And where did you get this burn from?
The acid.
On the airbag?
The acid of the airbag.
Virginia was shaken by the incident. She still refuses to have the airbag replaced. But she's not alone. Statistics compiled by the Automobile Protection Association shows that 1 out of 4 drivers are injured when the airbag in their vehicle inflates.
We have seen, and what we're concerned about, are low-speed impacts where the occupant is already belted and they claim that they're injured because the airbag went off. And
prematurely?
Well, either prematurely. Some makes, Chrysler, Toyota, definitely there are cases where the driver with an airbag was injured in a situation where had they only been belted, they might not have.
People who sustain airbag injuries, scrapes, bruises, or burns from the chemical used to inflate the airbag are encouraged to contact the manufacturer to complain. Right now, there's no standard for manufacturers to follow, and if they're producing something defective, the Automobile Protection Association encourages public complaints. There are better restraining systems on the market, but you have to spend more than $35,000 for the car. For example, Mercedes-Benz has developed a 2-point deployment system. In the event of a low-impact collision where there's little risk of the passenger hitting the steering wheel or going through the windshield, what happens is an electronic sensor triggers a seatbelt which pulls you back into the seat. The airbag is not deployed. However, in the event of a high-impact collision, the airbag is released. Joe Singerman, Pulse News.
Yesterday, right about this time, fate chose to throw us, you might recall, a power failure. And it turned the entire election desk upside down, though not literally. Well, tonight we've stocked up with a fresh batch of batteries, and Ann Chatilla has pulled together the campaign events of the day. Ann?
Yes, Bill. Well, we are on the air tonight, thank goodness for that. Daniel Johnson has been saying all along that his party is out to create jobs. Well, that is exactly what he took credit for today by announcing an infusion of American cash right into Montreal's East End petrochemical industry. It was a joint announcement today, the Quebec government and the Coastal Corporation of Houston, Texas. The Americans are investing up to $20 million to help Chemtech. Chemtech is going to reopen. 350 jobs will be created by that move. Premier Johnson stressed this was not an election goodie, but a project that the Liberals have been working on for the past 4 years.
We helped protect and preserve those assets here in the East End of Montreal to make sure that the petrochemical industry, as one of the standard bearers of our know-how in high-tech and future industries, was preserved and could go on developing and providing jobs in the East End of Montreal.
But the big question all reporters wanted answered, and they asked it several times today, would an American firm invest here in Quebec under a separatist government? Well, it was clear Oscar Wyatt, the Houston company chairman, wanted to stay far away from our local squabbles.
I don't even know what party the premier's in.
Good. You don't vote here. Not sure if I'm a Democrat or Republican.
And as far as the political effect of this, I don't have any idea and really don't care.
Meantime, later in the day, Liberal leader Daniel Johnson met with the Hellenic community of Montreal, and he announced the creation of a chronic care hospital for the sick people of the city. And it now is confirmed a half-hour French television debate takes place Monday, August 29th. It will be seen on TVA, Radio-Canada, and Radio-Quebec. Only Daniel Johnson and Jacques Parizeau will participate. Premier Johnson says he is ready to grill Parizeau, and he says the PQ leader won't be able to hide on TV. Parizeau, campaigning in the townships today, says it makes sense to limit the debate to 2 parties.
I think it's reasonable. There are really 2 visions of the future of Quebec at the present time, and I think that the leaders of each of these visions, and only them, should be included in the debate. I think it's a reasonable way of seeing things.
And there is no word yet on when or even if there will be an English debate on television. Tomorrow, the PQ campaign bus with Jacques Parizeau at the controls will tour the eastern townships for a second day. Daniel Johnson and the Liberals make campaign stops in Rivière-du-Loup, Matane, and Rimouski, and we'll have all the details on what went on and what they said tomorrow from the election desk. Now back to you, Bill.
Thank you very much, Ann. No power failure. There's another sign that things may be improving in the job market. Help wanted ads placed in newspapers across the country increased by 1% in the month of July. That's seen as an early indicator of what might be expected in terms of job growth. Now a look at the day's markets. Now, in other news, it's a question that has been simmering for some time. Does the Duluth Street area need more bars and more pool halls? 5 Vision Montreal candidates have joined independent city councillor Michel Prescott in saying no. The 5 candidates for the Plateau Montreal district and Prescott are demanding the city put off adoption of zoning bylaws that would open the area to more bars. The bylaw is to be adopted at next week's city council meeting. Prescott has been waging a battle against it for months, arguing it will endanger housing in the area. A convicted rapist has been charged with sexually assaulting a female prison employee. 28-year-old Louis Beaulieu is charged with molesting a 21-year-old psychology student at the Drummond Penitentiary in Drummondville 2 weeks ago. Last February, he was sentenced to 12 years in prison for raping a woman in an Eastern Township's church. Beaulieu will be arraigned on the new charges August 26th. A car bomb exploded this morning near 2585 Frontenac Street. A 50-year-old man injured in that blast. Police say the bomb exploded when the victim turned on the ignition. His legs were injured. He was taken to St. Luke Hospital. Doctors say his injuries are not life-threatening. Now, we have all heard about the possible dangers of stopping your car to help out a stranger. Sadly, these days it seems anything can happen, and what may be even sadder is the fact that this leads most of us to simply drive by when we see a stranded motorist. This next story is about someone who decided to stop. George Alexander explains what happened next.
It started with a simple flat tire late yesterday afternoon on this stretch of Highway 40 just east of the Ontario border. An unidentified motorist stopped to help the driver of this car change the tire. The Good Samaritan had second thoughts, though, when he noticed the man was armed with a gun. Instead of helping, he called police. They quickly arrived to make a remarkable discovery, which they showed off today. The car, which had been stolen in Montreal, contained a multi-million-dollar cache of drugs. 350 kilos of hashish to be exact, with an estimated street value of more than $5 million. Despite a search, police say they have no new leads in the hunt for a white suspect in his 30s. The hero is also laying low and no doubt hoping he never again runs into the man he simply wanted to help. George Alexander, Pulse News.
The owner of a bar restaurant that has become a Montreal landmark since its opening in 1967 has won a chance to appeal against a bankruptcy order. The former Vieux Munich at Saint-Denis and René Lévesque was ordered into bankruptcy late this month. Its creditors include the Quebec government, several suppliers, and about 30 employees who haven't been paid for several weeks. Well, yesterday the owner won a chance to present a new payment plan to the court next Wednesday. The bar, which opened as a German beer hall during Expo 67, changed its name to Le Grand Texas in the month of June. Thousands of country music fans are descending on Camrose, Alberta for the Big Valley Jamboree. Valerie Oskowski gets a taste of the country spirit.
When you're heading out to what could be the biggest country event of the year, you have to get in the mood. Obviously, that starts with a little country music.
Already I can see we're in Jamboree country, where men are men and women are cowgirls. Where modern country fans roll into town with aluminum-sided covered wagons. Bringing little cowpokes like Scotty a first-time taste of the Big Valley Jamboree.
You're starting them out young.
You bet.
Is it a way of life, the music?
It's the music, for sure. How do you become like a cowboy when a jamboree? Is it the hat? Once you put the hat on, you tell me.
You're looking at the beer.
Yeah, I think that turns you into a cowboy.
Enough beers and you'll become a cowboy.
That's right.
Oh, you got the toothpick
Got
there.
the toothpick.
What's the weather going to be like?
Last year, we had 2 tornadoes that came through here, okay? One went over to Bittern Lake and the other went that way. And Don Williams was all set to play. He didn't even make it on stage. Checking the forecast, I see there is the chance of thunder showers for Thursday night. Guess who's on stage? Don Williams.
Don, for the fans' sake, I hope there's truth to the saying, third time lucky. These guys aren't worrying about the weather. Like true country fans, they're just taking it easy, getting ready for their next gig.
Don't let the sound of your own wheels drive me crazy. Come on,
Five-wheel drive is the first live act here at the Jamboree.
As we mosey on down the road into the weather, we're not out of it yet, though.
We have extended the weather warning until 9 tonight. More heavy thunderstorms on the way.
And who cares if you're inside the Big O?
That's right, Bill. The Expos go for the 4-game sweep tonight of the St. Louis Cardinals in what could be the last game of the year here this season, period. More details a little later on Sports.
If you love to scream, get ready, because you're about to embark on a terrifying journey where tales from the crypt are being brought to life. Yes, the Crypt Keeper is revealing his secrets to those scary special effects, and you'll only see them on Entertainment Tonight. Then Cheryl adds back to the old detective work. But has the former Charlie's Angel lost her sex appeal?
Unzip it.
See for yourself. Only on Entertainment Tonight.
Entertainment Tonight at 7, following Paul.
The clash between wilderness and civilization. Survival and science. Instinct and knowledge.
Tarzan does not like guns.
Part mystery. Part legend. Tarzan. Swing into a world of adventure. Tarzan, Fridays at 7:30 on CFCF 12.
A band of Starfleet renegades threatens to sabotage the peace.
Do you deny that the Federation is engaging in organized terrorist activities
and spark an explosive conflict?
So they don't have a right to defend themselves?
They've crossed the line. Now, Cisco must expose the engineers of this devious plan.
They've managed to start their own little war out here.
Or face a full-scale attack.
I just know they have to be stopped.
On the next Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Friday at 8 on CFCF 12.
Guys, this is your lucky day. You each get a wish.
A pool, beautiful women, and a really good drive. Yes, a blue drive.
6.1%. The smoothness of a drive, the great taste of blue.
2 blue drives. And you?
I'm gonna be with my friends.
Dry beer has finally won its colors.
Newsweek calls The Client the best Grisham yet. Exciting. It gets its hooks in you and zips along. Susan Sarandon, Academy Award winner Tommy Lee Jones. The Client.
Now playing in English and French.
Each weekday on Sketches of Our Town, host Harvey Kirk explores towns and villages across Canada and discovers the history, folklore, and faces of our unique heritage. Sketches of Our Town, weekdays at 11.
So weather warning in effect until 9 tonight. Between now and that time, we'll have heavy showers and thunderstorms. It will rain on your Hupmobile. Mr. Roosh, this evening. 27 the high today, 1 above the normal reading for today's date. Hot on this day in 1955, 35 degrees, 17 the daytime low. The record, 1972. Afternoon temps across the country, 17 at St. John's. There's a 26. Warmer at Charlottetown, 25 at Halifax today. Then a coolish 19 at St. John NB, 24 at Quebec, the 26 here. Then the temperature dropped swiftly in the rain around 4 and 4:30 this afternoon, 23 at Ottawa, 21 at Toronto, 20 at Winnipeg. It's been cool there all day, 26 at Regina, the same at Calgary, 27 at Edmonton, and the 2-5 at Vancouver. Our satellite show, fair weather cloud in the interior BC, broken cloud on the west coast, not too bad. Cloud there in the foothills, southern Alberta. It clears completely. Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and the Lakehead, northwestern Ontario in good shape. Solid overcast, Windsor through Montreal into Gaspé. Clearing out completely now, New Brunswick, PEI, Nova Scotia, and terrific day in Newfoundland. That's the story from northern Maine through Boston and the Cape. We pick up cloud through Chesapeake Bay and showers, lower St. Lawrence, south of Chicago, right across the Mississippi Valley, and heavy thunderstorms here in the valley. Our villain, this low, and that cold front now dropping south of the valley in this dramatic change of air mass we have all this heavy weather. There are severe cells now between Lake Ontario and the Quebec border. They will sweep through between now and 9, so more heavy weather on the way. We've got a bit of a lull downtown right now. The map for tomorrow, the system off the coast, so is the cold front. In its wake, a few lingering showers for rush hour tomorrow morning. Then the high builds in, and finally sunshine tomorrow afternoon. Certainly improving sky condition tomorrow afternoon, but quite cool. 20, that's all. Struggle to 20 tomorrow. Here it is for Saturday, though, with a high locked over the lower lake, strong ridge along the valley, sunshine, and we'll pick up a few degrees on Saturday. On Sunday, it'll move to the coast. In a southerly circulation, we'll see 27s and 28s for the second half of the weekend. So once we clear this heavy activity tonight and a few showers tomorrow morning, improving conditions, and the weekend ahead looks nice, and we deserve it. So, cloudy tonight, heavy showers tonight, and possible heavy thunderstorms between now and 9 o'clock. It'll drop to 14 in the showers overnight. Tomorrow, cloudy, a few lingering showers. The percentile chance is 30% tomorrow morning, then improving sky condition in the afternoon. As we say, cool, high of only 20 tomorrow afternoon. And there it is for Saturday. Sunny but cool, high of 23, but sunny all day, then warmer still the day after. Overnight low 14, 20 the high tomorrow. Cool tonight, up north 9 there, 16 the high tomorrow, 15 and 19, that's all for Sherbrooke, 11 and 20 at Quebec, 13 and 20 for Ottawa. Look now at the long-range forecast. Second half of the weekend, sunshine on Sunday, high of 27, holding with the good weather for Monday, sunny and 27 on that day. Dorval right now, it's 23, 19 at Saint-Jovite, and 24 at Trois-Rivières, 24 at Quebec, 19 at Chicoutimi, and 21 at Baie-Comeau. The sun will rise tomorrow morning at 5:42, set at 8:20. The wind northwesterly, moderate to strong in that heavy shower and thunderstorm activity. Tonight, humidity at 84%. Our present temperature, 23 Celsius, 74 degrees Fahrenheit. That's our story. The sports, and here's Ron.
Thank you, Don. And after all that happened today, they will play ball tonight.
Yeah, finally. And for a while, it looked very much like the baseball players' strike was going to begin tonight and not next Friday as originally scheduled. The players were mad at the owners for arbitrarily refusing to make a $7.8 million contribution to their pension plan out of receipts from last month's All-Star game. A conference call was held among the player representatives today, and a 2 o'clock news conference was held in New York. And Rob Falls has the story.
The meeting was called after members of the Players Association became furious when the owners refused to make a $7.8 million payment to the pension fund. It was an obvious attempt by the owners to force the players' hand.
Just because the owners are behaving in an irresponsible and provocative manner, it does not mean the players have to do so. Their object is to try and reach an agreement. It will come as no surprise to anyone that the players' level of resolve, which was already extremely high, is now several levels higher than it was.
We think this strike hurts the fans, hurts the game of baseball, and we don't think we have any obligation for an act of good faith when they are closing this game down and depriving thousands of other people of their employment.
Ravitch added the owners feel they have no contractual obligation to make the pension payment. Fear said the players' level of distrust of the owners is running high.
This relationship is fraught with circumstances of distrust and tension. That's been true whether it's back in the early days, whether it was during the period in which they tried to reverse the first free agency case and locked out the players in '76, whether it was during the long strike in '81 or during the collusion period. It doesn't make much sense to magnify it. All I can tell you is it's pretty high now.
We're for real, and we do know how this business is run, and can run it, probably run it better. You know, that until they take us in that manner and stop taking us as dumb jocks, we're not going to get anything resolved.
Well, our Alan Bishop is at the stadium right now live with one of the Expos player representatives, John Wetland. And John has been in the middle of what has passed the last 24 hours. He can bring us up to date. Al?
Thanks very much, Ron. Let's go back in time a little bit and gauge the players' initial reaction to when they found out that the owners didn't want to pay the slightly less than $8 million. Is it safe to say that the first reaction from the players was one of anger?
Yeah, it's very safe to say that. In fact, there was quite a few people at the time wanted to go out right then and there, and I think that cooler heads prevailed here. After thinking about it myself and talking it over with Darren and the rest of the players, I wanted to discuss the options involved here, and is it enough reason just because you're angry to walk out early? I don't think that that's a good reason. I don't think anger is a good reason to do anything. And I just thought that at the time cooler heads should prevail, that we should stick to what we had planned on all along and not let anything incite us to anger.
Is it possible, we've heard about how unified the players' union is on this issue. Is it possible for the players to become any more unified over an incident like this?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I think that sometimes there can be division too. The more issues you throw into something, the more possibility there is for division. If it's a test of the players' resolve, I think it's very futile because we've shown that when we set a date, we mean it, and we're stronger now than we've ever been before. So if it was a test of our resolve, I think it was futile.
Just quickly now, is there a sense from the Expos players that tonight could be the last home game period of the '94 season?
Well, it could be. I mean, that's a possibility, but we don't think that way. I think it would be very detrimental if any player would think that way, because as long as we're still playing, there's another baseball game to be played, and hopefully the reasoning for setting an August 12th strike date as opposed to something later is so that there would be time to work something out here. And we've done everything in our power to work toward that goal of working something out soon.
Okay, thanks very much for coming by, and good luck in negotiations.
Thank you.
Ron, another crowd in excess of 30,000 expected for tonight, and that's it from here.
All right, thanks, Alan. So we can play some baseball. The Expos go for the sweep of the Cardinals tonight. Kirk Reeder against the Cardinals' struggling ace, Bob Tewksbury. Last night, the Expos extended their East Division lead to 5.5 games, thanks to a refugee from the bullpen and without their manager, Felipe Alou, who was in the Dominican Republic for the funeral of his father. Felipe's backup did quite well, thank you.
So, Tim Johnson, what was the best part of your night? You must have really enjoyed Gil Heredia. Gil came out of the bullpen, pitched 7 innings of 4-hit shutout ball. Struck out 6, including Bernard Gilkey 3 times. That was good. Larry Walker kind of made your night, too. Walk doubled 3 times. This one in the first inning scored the first run of the game. Walker also took advantage of some poor execution to score when Will Cordero tried to steal second. Got home standing up, too. And if that wasn't enough, Tim, you must have loved the Expos' power. Lenny Webster, gone. And it's 4-0, still in the first inning. Sean Berry in the 5th. It's gone. Solo shot. 5-0. 7th inning. Moises Alou, you've got it, Gonzo, and Mo's 21st of the year. Can we now call you an armchair manager, Tim? Just open the gate, let them play. 8-3 final, 6 in a row for the Expos. All you can call Atlanta manager Bobby Cox is ulcer-ridden. Had to go to his bullpen again. Greg McMichael into the game in the 9th and didn't get an out. David Segui singles to put runners on first and third. Rico Brogna then lines it up the middle, scoring Jeff Kent, and the game is all tied up. McMichael's out. Mark Wohlers tries to save it with the bases loaded. Jose Vizcaino lines it just over Jeff Blauser's glove into left. The winning run scores, and a familiar sight, another frustrated Atlanta reliever, 3-2 Mets. Milestone of the night, the Dodgers' Brett Butler, the 500th steal of his career. That brought his teammates out, and Brett got to take the bag home with him. Padres still beat the Dodgers, who remain 2 in front of the Giants. And what is this? Another of those baseball movies? Nope, it's the Kansas City Monarchs. Remembering one of the greatest teams in baseball history from the old Negro Leagues, a team that included the great Satchel Paige. The Royals played their game in the old uniforms, and rookie Bob Hamlin did his best imitation of Babe Ruth. This was his 23rd homer, and the Royals stretched their winning streak to 12 games with a 9-5 win over Oakland. A little more from Junior. California's Tim Salmon lines it to center. Griffey throws it on the run to first, where Chad Curtis was caught with his pants down, or the baseball equivalent. Double play. Seattle won 8-4. Tough times in Baltimore. Lee Smith blew another save opportunity. Minnesota wins 4-3. The Orioles have gone from a half game out to 9 games back in the last 3 weeks. Another one for Bruno. In his 6 weeks as a member of the Red Sox, Tom Brunansky has 9 home runs and 31 RBIs. That's after 0 home runs or RBIs with the Brewers. Boston beat Toronto 7-2. The hard knock of the night. This one will do. Tigers catcher Chad Kruger, in search of a foul ball, nearly hung himself on the Cleveland dugout. New stadium, new hazards apparently. Some of them just shouldn't exist.
And the play of the day, Alex Fernandez of the White Sox on Odabe McDowell's bunt. He dives, somehow he shovels it to first for the out. One more time, and the pass is somewhere between a shot put and a lob. But he got the job done. But Texas still beat Chicago 11-8. Well, we could talk hockey, too. I'm not sure if there's any connection, but the ice is going in at the Forum, and Serge Savard is back at his desk after his summer vacation. If Serge plans to make any changes to a team which was knocked out in the first round of the playoffs, he has about a month to do it. August has always been a busy month for Savard, and Randy Tiemann says you can expect the same this year.
The last time I met with Serge Savard was the day after the Canadiens were eliminated by Boston.
I had no reason to be happy, and had all the reason in the world to be unhappy about certain players, about the way that my team had played.
It was the first time in 11 years one of his teams failed to advance past the first round.
I think there'll be trade. There'll be some trades before the season starts, and I see the couple kids breaking our lineup.
Big trades?
It could be. It could be, you know.
The kids are Brian Savage and Valerie Bure. Savard says he's been close to a couple of deals, but wants to make sure he's not just getting someone else's problem.
You've always been patient.
Yes.
You still consider yourself to be patient when it comes to dealing with this hockey team?
Well,
or is there some urgency this year?
Believe me, it's always an emergency in Montreal. We all have the tendency of seeing the last game. And if I listen to all the comments I got all year long, I'd trade the whole team every year.
Savard's main priority is a frontline center.
I told you after the season, I think there's change to be made, and there will be.
Randy Tiemann, Pulse Sports.
The Commonwealth Games are going to be held in Victoria, BC starting next week. It is exactly 40 years since the Games were last held in British Columbia. That was in Vancouver. They were called the British Empire Games then. And 40 years ago Sunday, those games produced one of the greatest days in track and field history.
This Day in Sports is brought to you by Cheerios.
It is seldom that the clash of two athletic titans lives up to advanced billing, but 40 years ago this week at the British Empire Games in Vancouver, expectations were met and surpassed. Roger Bannister versus John Landy of Australia. Landy, who had broken Bannister's record for the mile only 2 months before, and only 46 days after Bannister had become the first to run the mile in under 4 minutes. It was a perfect day for a world record in newly constructed Empire Stadium. Landy found the early pace too slow, so he took the lead. Bannister closed up, setting the stage for one of the most dramatic moments in sports history. Bannister described it this way.
I decided that I did have enough energy to manage to get past him at that particular point. I had no idea that he would actually choose that moment to look over his left shoulder. By the time he looked back, I'd managed to get those few critical strides ahead. We were both slowing down. I was not slowing down as much as he was and managed to cross the line ahead of him.
England's Roger Bannister wins in a time of 3 minutes 58.8 seconds. For the first time, two runners were clocked under 4 minutes in the same race. And etched in the memories of those who were there and the millions who watched it on early television, Landy looking over his inside shoulder and Bannister going past him on the outside. It was August 7th, 1954. Bannister beats Landy in what will forever be called the Miracle Mile.
It has only 1 gram of sugar and the great taste your family loves.
I was born during Montreal's big Olympic year, which makes me 18 today. So I get to vote for the first time in my life on September 12th. I wouldn't miss it for anything. Enumerators are coming August 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th to put me on the electoral list. Hey, I'm not going to miss them either. because nothing's going to stop me from voting on September 12th.
At most schools, it takes 3 years to get a professional studies diploma. But at Aviral, it takes only 1 year. Plus, the practical training at Aviral is worth 1 year's experience on the job. Choose from various specialized day or evening courses. Aviral's training will help you get the job you want. And at Aviral, they have technical equipment at the cutting edge of the industry. Call now and inquire about our loans and bursaries. Collège Aviral, 739-3010. The key to a successful future.
It's great, can't wait, come get the taste. Au Vieux de Loup, Au Vieux de Loup.
Au Vieux de Loup is proud to present Summerfest 94. Choose a delectable dish from our special summer menu of grilled specialties, chicken and seafood, and receive a second dish for only 94 cents. That's right, a second dish for only 94 cents. And remember, bring the kids, because they eat for free.
It's great, it's true, you'll love what we do. Au Vieux de Loup, Au Vieux de Loup.
This summer, have twice the fun with La Super Club Videotron. Rent 2 movies for only $5.55. Try a suspense and a comedy. Go for an action film and a drama. You could win one of 2 new Neons from Chrysler. The more you rent, the more you increase your chances to drive a Neon. For the best selection of new releases, head for La Super Club Videotron and have twice the fun with 2 movies for $5.55. La Super Club Videotron, more than just a video store.
It's about being on the street.
Don't give up on a tough teenage.
About being in trouble.
Give me a call when you need a change.
About getting help.
City kids, come on off that street. Come on off that street. Work it out to a different beat.
And getting free.
Take a walk outside. Get on the range and ride. You got something precious.
Neon Rider, Friday at 10.
Bosnian Serbs have upset a major ally and arms supplier. Serbia is cutting off all economic and political ties to the Bosnian Serbs. This comes after the third vote by the Bosnian Serb Assembly to reject an international peace plan. War conditions have returned to Sarajevo.
Pressure on the Bosnian Serbs mounted. Belgrade announced it was severing ties with its traditional allies. And members of the group representing the world's Islamic countries urged the international community to lift the arms embargo against Bosnia. Otherwise, they said, they'd renew weapons sales to Sarajevo. All this 1 day after the self-declared Bosnian Serb parliament rejected the latest peace plan. Led by Radovan Karadzic, the parliament voted to have a referendum later this month, a plan dismissed by Bosnia's Muslim vice president.
You know, I mean, everybody knows this is a game, and we should not even talk about referendum. They will try to get more. And they're not ready for peace.
On the streets of Sarajevo, meanwhile, the mood remained tense. Sniper fire has escalated in the capital over the past 2 weeks, and many fear a return to the carnage they hoped they'd left behind.
And another question now is, will Serbia in fact be true to its word? The White House is watching closely to see whether Belgrade will restrict exports of all but food, medicine, and clothing to the Bosnian Serbs. But the Clinton administration isn't standing by to watch the Bosnian Serbs fight a so-called war of isolation. The White House is now warning that it may go it alone in lifting the arms embargo in Bosnia. There is a new problem in Zaire's disease-ridden refugee camps, looting from aid shipments. Nathan Thomas reports.
Where there is not enough food and too many hungry people, there is often trouble. Security at the Goma airport has been increased to stop looting and selling of relief supplies. The camps are still horrible places, but every day they do get a little better.
Now they have water tankers over there. There's food distribution every day. They're doing jerrycan distribution. There's more water. It's getting better.
Though doctors fear that dysentery could kill more people than last week's cholera epidemic, for the moment the death rate has dropped to 600 or 700 a day, compared to 1,800 a day a week ago. Now that some food and water is getting into the camps, some people have less reason to want to go back to Rwanda. The border crossing is often empty now. Fewer seem to be going back, only several thousand each day. The main reason is fear. Hutu soldiers among the refugees are spreading rumors of death at the hands of the new Rwandan government. Officials of the ousted government have become leaders in the camps and retain influence over the refugees by controlling the distribution of relief supplies.
It's a physical intimidation and a verbal intimidation where the former soldiers and former members of the government simply go into the camps and tell lies. And of course with the soldiers, when they have guns, guns talk.
The UN is trying to convince refugees it is safe to go home, but so far without much success. Since they will not force them to leave, there is growing concern that Rwandan refugees may stay here in Zaire for a long time. Nathan Thomas, ABC News, Goma.
The largest labor group in Nigeria has suspended its two-day-old strike, leaving oil workers to cope with trying to topple the military government in Lagos. The National Labor Congress will negotiate directly now with the government. It will resume striking, though, on the weekend if no progress is made. Officials say they won't call off their strike, at least not until the military steps aside.
For 2 days, the normally bustling city of Lagos has been virtually shut down. The country's Union Congress, with 5 million members, joined oil workers who've been striking for 5 weeks. The protest is aimed at toppling the military government. Tensions in Nigeria grew from last year's presidential elections, which were annulled by the military after the People's Choice, Moshood Abiola, appeared to win. He's now in jail. The workers are demanding his release along with democratic elections. The military has remained low-key, although 3 protesters are reported to have been killed. Abiola's residence remains deserted. The country's main labor group has, for now, agreed to go back to work, but has warned of more mass action if further negotiations are a waste of time. The oil workers are staying out.
And finally, tradition was observed to the letter. A 21-gun salute from Hyde Park. Cheers from thousands of onlookers marking the Queen Mother's 94th birthday.
Looking a little frail, but obviously delighted by the crowd, the Queen Mother made her now traditional birthday appearance. She watched as the band of the 2nd Battalion of the Grenadier Guards marked the birthday of the Royal Grandmother, who's as old as the century. A procession of children of all ages then came up to her, and the Queen Mother put her walking stick to one side to accept their gifts and the flowers that they brought her. Despite her frailty and failing sight, the Queen Mother spent more than 40 minutes outside Clarence House, chatting to the crowds and accepting their gifts. One man has presented her with a cake on her birthday for the past 16 years. Meanwhile, in Hyde Park, the traditional birthday tribute for the Queen Mother, a 41-gun salute. After her walkabout, the Queen Mother went back inside for a lunch party with other members of the royal family.
We'll be right back.
We're in a garbage crisis. One reason McCain chose to pack their juices in these aseptic boxes rather than non-refillable glass bottles. 1 liter aseptic packages use 88% less material than non-refillable glass, generate 85% less solid waste, consume 62% less energy. Plus, it would take 30 trucks to ship 1 million empty 1 liter glass bottles to their factories and just 2 to ship the equivalent in aseptic packaging.
McCain made their choice for the environment.
Every morning I look forward to my day. Oh, being a working mother isn't easy, and I have to make the most of every dollar. I really appreciate Zeller's lowest price law and their low prices throughout the store.
At Zeller's, we're proud of our law of lowest prices and the hundreds of weekly specials you see in our flyers.
Light brief covers, 4 for 76 cents. 3-pack 1-inch binders just $2.44, and 20-pack Laurentian coloring pencils only $2.46 a pack.
Lower low prices, brand names, and free clubs and rewards only at your stores. Zeller's, because the lowest price is the law. Liters per hour of pure refreshment. Super Aqua Club.
There's so much more!
Kids, they're so cute. And forever learning new things. They're real copycats.
You better be good. He'll be Dad.
Someone's watching your every action. Be aware. Be wise.
This is Country 94. Each week a showcase of Quebec's best country artists, along with the latest videos and interviews with some of country's hottest stars. This is Country 94, Saturday at 6:30.
Remember now that severe weather warning is in effect for at least another 90 minutes, so drive carefully and I'll see you on Post tonight.
For The Simpsons, Monday at 7:30.
I'm Mary Hart at the Entertainment Tonight studios. Can't get enough of that Jackson Presley stuff? We have the latest and you won't believe it.
It's bombs away in Tinseltown. I'm John Tesh. Why are the can't miss films missing? We'll show you why millions are going down the drain.
Plus, Cheryl Ladd gets teed off. And we've dug up a story that'll go right to your head. This is Entertainment Tonight for Thursday, August 4th, 1994.
Eating.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Guess what we're leading off with today?
Guess? You got it. There is nothing quite like a story about superstars with lots of facts missing to set the tabloids into feeding frenzy mode, making up headlines to sort of suit themselves. The secret wedding and now secret honeymoon of the King of Pop and the daughter of the King of Rock is taking on a media life of its own, and E.T. covers the hoopla.
The competition between the papers is absolutely